What is the single most dangerous asset you lose the second you retire? It isn't your salary, it's your margin for error. When you were 30, you could be stupid with money and recover. At 65, financial stupidity is terminal. Yet I look around and see intelligent people lighting their cash on fire, acting like they still have decades to fix mistakes. You don't. Imagine the absolute humiliation of having to ask your daughter to pay your heating bill because you were too arrogant to adjust your lifestyle when you had the chance. You become a burden. That is a fate worse than death. Here's what nobody in the finance industry wants to admit. Most standard retirement advice is designed to keep you happy, not solvent. I'm Larry Ellison, founder of Oracle, and I deal in hard data, not hope. Today, I am going to dismantle the 5 habits that are silently killing your portfolio. We are going to stop the bleeding right now. Subscribe to the channel if you want the blueprint to protect your legacy and your bank account. Let's execute. The first thing you need to stop doing immediately is playing the role of the family bank. Let's be brutally honest about why most retirees fail. It isn't usually because the S&P 500 had a bad year. It isn't because of inflation. It is because you cannot say no to the people you love. You are hemorrhaging money to your adult children, and you are telling yourself it's because you are a good parent. I'm here to tell you that you are wrong. You aren't being a good parent. You are being a financial coward. And this cowardice is going to leave you destitute. I see this constantly. You have worked for 40 years. You have scraped, saved, and sacrificed to build a nest egg. You finally get to the point where you can stop working. And what do? You continue to subsidize the lifestyle of a 30-year-old capable adult. You are paying for their cell phone plan. You are covering their car insurance. You are helping out with rent. You are chipping in for the grandkids' private school tuition because you want them to have the best. Stop it. Stop it right now. You need to understand the basic physics of retirement wealth. When you are working, you are a fountain. Money is flowing in. When you retire, you are a reservoir. The rain has stopped. The river has dried up. You are surviving on what is in the tank. Every time you open the valve to let just a little bit flow out to your son who just needs a bridge loan, or your daughter who wants a dream wedding, you are draining water that will never, ever be replaced. Let's look at the math, because the math doesn't care about your feelings. You think, Larry, it's only $500 a month. I can afford to help them with their car payment. Can you? Let's run the numbers. $500 a month is $6,000 a year. Over a 20-year retirement, that is $120,000 of principal cash. But you are forgetting the opportunity cost. If that money had stayed invested in your portfolio, growing at a conservative 7%, that $500 a month leak actually costs you closer to $260,000 over 2 decades. That isn't helping out. That is $250,000. That is the cost of your in-home nursing care when you turn 80. You are literally taking the money required for your own survival and lighting it on fire to make your child's life slightly more comfortable today. And let's talk about the big ticket items, the weddings, the down payments. I see people with a net worth of $500,000 writing a check for $40,000 for a daughter's wedding. Are you insane? You just liquidated nearly 10% of your entire life's accumulation for a 6-hour party. That is financial suicide. You do not have the right to do that anymore. When you were earning a salary, you could make up for that mistake. Now, that money is gone forever. You have reduced your margin for error to 0. Then there is the loan, the dreaded family loan. Your son comes to you. He has a business idea, or he's in a tight spot with credit card debt. He promises he will pay you back. Here is the rule. If you lend money to family, it is a gift. Period. If a bank won't lend your child money, it's because the bank which has algorithms designed to assess risk, has determined your child is a bad bet. Why do you think you are smarter than the bank? You aren't. You are just more emotional. You give them the money. They don't pay you back. Now, not only is your money gone, but the relationship is poisoned. You sit at Thanksgiving dinner looking at them, resentful because they are driving a new car while you are cutting coupons, wondering when you'll get your $20,000 back. You won't. It's gone. But this goes deeper than just the money. This is about psychology. By acting as a financial safety net for your adult children, you are crippling them. You are robbing them of the very struggle that made you who you are. How did you build your wealth? You figured it out. You struggled. You made trade-offs. When you remove the consequences of their poor financial decisions, you ensure they will never learn. You are creating a dependent. There is nothing more pathetic than a 40-year-old man who still relies on his 70-year-old mother to bail him out of trouble. And if you are that mother, you have created that monster. You have to change your identity. You are no longer the provider. You are now the steward of your own survival. This requires a hard conversation. It requires you to sit your family down and say, "The bank of mom and dad is closed. I love you, but I refuse to be a burden on you when I am 85. So to ensure I never have to ask you for money, I am stopping all financial support to you today." They might be angry. They might call you selfish. Let them. Because here is the alternative. You keep paying. You keep, quote, helping. And in 15 years, the money runs out. You are frail. You are sick. And now you have to move into their spare bedroom. You have to ask them to pay for your medicine. You become a literal burden on their finances and their marriage. That is the ultimate selfishness. Sacrificing your independence today so you can become a dependent tomorrow. If you truly love your children, you will prioritize your own financial security above their immediate wants. You will ensure that you are solvent until the day you die so that you never become an obligation they have to resent. Cut the cord. Stop the bleeding. Keep your capital. You are going to need every single cent of it, especially when you realize the massive, silent liability you are currently sleeping inside of every single night. Most of you are sitting on a gold mine that is actually a money pit, and you're too sentimental to see it. The second thing you must stop doing is worshiping the drywall you live in. I want you to take a hard look at your house. Maybe it's the place where you raised your kids. Maybe it's that colonial in the suburbs with the manicured lawn that you spent 30 years trying to afford. You look at it and you see an asset. You see a symbol of your success. I look at it and I see a parasite. There is a disease in this country called house rich, cash poor, and it is terminal. You are sitting on $800,000 of equity, yet you are eating tuna fish out of a can because you are terrified to turn the heating up past 65 degrees. That is not wealth. That is insanity. Here is the lie you have been sold. My house is my biggest investment. Wrong. An investment pays you. An investment puts cash into your pocket. Your house takes cash out of your pocket. Even if you have paid off the mortgage, congratulations, you gave the bank their money back. You never actually own the house. Try not paying your property taxes for 2 years and see who owns it. The county will take it. You are essentially renting from the government, and the rent goes up every single year. Let's look at the free and clear myth. You think because you don't have a mortgage, your housing cost is zero. Let's do the math that you are ignoring. Property taxes, homeowners insurance, maintenance, landscaping, heating, cooling, roof repairs, plumbing disasters. On a modest, paid-off suburban home, these carrying costs average 3 to 4% of the home's value annually. If you live in a $600,000 house, you are bleeding $18,000 to $24,000 a year just to keep the structure standing. Over a 20-year retirement, that is nearly $500,000 spent on nothing, just existence. And for what? Be honest with me. How many rooms in your house do you actually enter on a daily basis? The kitchen? The bedroom? The bathroom? Maybe the living room? That's it. You are heating, cooling, and paying taxes on 3 other bedrooms, a formal dining room, and a basement that you use for storage. You are the janitor of your own museum. You are maintaining a shrine to a version of your family that doesn't exist anymore. But Larry, we need the space for when the kids come visit. How often do they visit? Twice a year? Thanksgiving and Christmas? You are spending $24,000 a year to maintain a hotel for your children for 4 days out of 365. Do the math. You could put them up in the Ritz-Carlton for those 4 nights and still save $20,000. It is illogical. It is emotional hoarding. But the biggest crime here isn't the maintenance cost. It is the dead capital. This is how billionaires think, and this is how you need to start thinking. Capital must work. Capital must have velocity. When you have $600,000 trapped in the walls of your house, that money is asleep. It is doing nothing for you. It isn't generating dividends. It isn't paying for your health care. It is just sitting there. If you sold that trophy home and downsized to a condo or a smaller home costing $350,000, you immediately unlock $250,000 in cash. Do you know what $250,000 does in a 5% yield portfolio? It generates $12,500 of pure passive income every single year for the rest of your life, without you touching the principal. So the choice is yours. Option A, stay in the big empty house, pay $20,000 a year in upkeep, and stress about money. Option B, downsize, eliminate the maintenance headache, and add $12,000 a year to your income. The difference between those two choices is a swing of over $30,000 a year in lifestyle quality. That is the difference between traveling and staying home. That is the difference between eating well and eating cheap. So why don't you do it? Ego. You are worried about what the neighbors will think if they see a for sale sign. You are worried that moving to a smaller place signals decline. You have wrapped your identity up in your square footage. You think downsizing is a defeat. Let me tell you what defeat actually looks like. Defeat is being 78 years old, physically unable to mow the lawn, unable to climb the stairs to the second floor, and unable to afford to pay someone to help you because all your wealth is stuck in the floorboards. Your house is not your legacy. Your solvency is your legacy. Your peace of mind is your legacy. Get out of the real estate trap. Sell the big house while you still have the energy to move. Unlock that equity and turn it into an income stream that will actually take care of you. Stop trying to impress people who don't care about you with a house you can't afford to maintain. However, once you sell that house and unlock that cash, you are going to face a new temptation. A temptation that destroys more retirees in the first 24 months than anything else. You're going to feel rich for the first time in years, and that feeling is going to lead you right into the most mathematically devastating trap of them all. The third, and perhaps most tragic mistake, is the victory lap. You retire on Friday. By Monday, you are at the dealership looking at that convertible you've wanted since college. By Wednesday, you're booking a 3-week cruise to the Mediterranean. By next month, you're tearing up the kitchen because you finally have time to enjoy cooking. You tell yourself, I worked hard for 40 years. I earned this. I deserve this. Listen to me very carefully. The market does not care what you deserve. You are walking into the most dangerous financial minefield of your life, and you are doing it blindfolded. In the finance world, we call this sequence of returns risk. It is a boring name for a terrifying reality. Here is what it actually means. If you spend too much money in the first 5 years of retirement, or if the market takes a dip while you are withdrawing cash, you enter a mathematical death spiral that you cannot pull out of. Think of your portfolio like an airplane taking off. The first 5 years are the climb. If you stall the engine by spending heavy or taking big losses during the climb, You don't just fly lower, you crash into the mountain. Let's look at the I deserve it math. You decide to buy that $60,000 luxury car to celebrate your retirement. You take it out of your 401k. It's just $60,000, you say. I have $1 million. No, you don't. You have a shrinking pile of potential energy. That $60,000, if left invested at 7% for the next 20 years, would have grown to nearly $232,000. By spending it today, you didn't just spend $60,000. You burned nearly $250,000 of your future safety net. You just stole 10 years of groceries from your 85-year-old self. And what happens if the market drops 20% the year you retire? This happens all the time. You have $1 million, the market drops to $800,000. But you still want that car, you still want that vacation. You withdraw $100,000 for your, quote, lifestyle. Now your portfolio is down to $700,000. To get back to where you started, your portfolio doesn't need to grow 20%. It needs to grow 43%. Do you know how hard it is to get a 43% return safely? It is impossible. You have dug a hole so deep that the ladder can't reach the top. This is why you see retirees panic selling 3 years in. They had a spending party at the start, the market corrected, and suddenly the math says they will be broke by age 72. You need to treat the first 5 years of retirement like a recession. This is not the time to spend. This is the time to hunker down. This is the time to test your budget. If you survive the first 5 years without dipping into your principal, you have a high probability of success. If you blow the doors off in year 1, you are gambling with your life. Stop trying to live like a billionaire when you are on a fixed income. You aren't Larry Ellison. You don't have a constant stream of cash refilling the bucket. The bucket list is a marketing scam invented to make you spend money before you die. You know what should be on your bucket list? Not running out of money. Not having to greet people at Walmart when you are 75. Your reward for 40 years of work isn't a new boat. Your reward is freedom. Your reward is sleeping at night, knowing the bills are paid. Don't trade that freedom for a depreciating hunk of metal or a 2-week vacation that you'll forget in a month. Delay the gratification. If you really want that car, buy it out of the profits of your portfolio 5 years from now, not the principal today. Never eat your seed corn. But let's say you are smart. You don't spend the money. You don't give it to your kids. You don't buy the car. Instead, you do something that feels safe. You hug your money tight. You put it in the bank. You stuff it under the mattress because you are scared of losing it. Congratulations, you have just walked right into the jaws of the silent killer, the invisible thief that is stealing from you every single second you are asleep. The final habit you must stop is playing dead. I see this reaction in intelligent people all the time. You retire, and suddenly you become terrified of the stock market. You see the news, you see the volatility, and you panic. You think, I can't afford to lose any of this. So you pull your money out of the market. You stick it in a savings account earning 0.5%. You put it in a CD, or worse, you leave it in cash. You tell yourself, at least it's safe. At least the number isn't going down. Here is the brutal truth. The number isn't going down, but your life is. You are ignoring the single greatest threat to your survival. It isn't a market crash. It is inflation. Inflation is the silent killer. It is an invisible tax that eats your wealth while you sleep. If inflation is running at just 3%, which is the historical average, your money loses half of its purchasing power every 24 years. Think about that. If you retire today with $1 million in cash under your mattress, in 24 years, that million will only buy $500,000 worth of goods. You haven't preserved your wealth. You have lost 50% of it. If you are 60 years old, you need your money to last until you are 90 or 95. You cannot afford to let your money sit still. Safe is not safe. Safe is a slow death. You are acting like a frightened animal, freezing in the headlights. But in finance, if you freeze, you get run over. You need growth. You don't need to be reckless. You don't need to day trade crypto, but you must have exposure to assets that grow faster than the cost of bread and medicine. If your portfolio isn't growing by at least 5 or 6% a year, you are actually getting poorer every single day. You have to stop thinking of retirement as the end. It is not the end of productivity. It is a pivot. You are no longer the CEO of a company or an employee of a corporation. You are now the CEO of your own capital. Your job has changed. Your job now is to manage risk, not avoid it. Avoiding risk is how you go broke. Managing risk is how you stay wealthy. You need to educate yourself. You need a portfolio that balances safety with growth. You need to understand that a market correction is temporary, but the erosion of inflation is permanent. Do not let fear dictate your strategy. Fear is a terrible financial advisor. Fear tells you to sell at the bottom. Fear tells you to hoard cash when you should be investing. Fear makes you irrational. You need to replace fear with competence. Let's recap the battle plan. If you want to survive the next 30 years with your dignity intact, you have to make hard choices today. Close the family bank. Your kids are adults. Let them struggle. It's the only way they'll grow, and it's the only way you'll survive. Sell the trophy home. Stop paying to heat empty rooms. Unlock that dead capital and turn it into income. Kill the I deserve it entitlement. No victory laps. No luxury cars. Hunker down for the first 5 years and protect your principal. Don't play dead. Cash is trash. You need growth to beat inflation. This sounds harsh. It is harsh. Reality is harsh. But here's the good news. If you do these things, if you have the discipline to say no, the courage to downsize, and the intelligence to invest, you buy yourself something money can't measure: autonomy. You get to wake up every morning knowing you are safe. You get to look your family in the eye knowing you will never be a burden to them. You get to live your final decades on your own terms, not at the mercy of a bank or the government. That is true wealth. That is what you worked 40 years for. Don't throw it away in the final quarter because you were too soft to do what was necessary. Be smart, be ruthless with your bad habits, and protect your future. I'm Larry Ellison. If you want more brutal truths about money, business, and survival that the rest of the world is too polite to tell you, subscribe to this channel right now.